another edition of Long Beach Treasures. I'm your host, Harvey Keller. Today we're up in California Heights, one of the largest historical districts in the city of Long Beach. And joining me is Doug Orr, who is one of the homeowners up here, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his home, and we're going to be privileged to go in and take a tour. It's a magnificent home. I've seen it. It was on the tour once before. And welcome, Doug.
Hi.
Well, tell me something about Cal Heights, the boundaries.
Well, it's from Wardlow, all the area between Wardlow and Bixby Road, and then the area from Atlantic Avenue to Cherry.
Am I correct? This is the largest historical district in the city?
Yes, and it's probably one of the most active also, I think.
Approved in 1990?
I don't know the date that
okay,
it was
I think it was, and I have listed something about approximately 1,200 homeowners in the area.
Yes.
Most of it Spanish colonial revival,
yes.
With other architectural designs thrown in.
Yeah, there's Tudor and stuff.
Tell me about your house.
It was built in 1936, and the previous owners have done quite a bit of changes to the interior and exterior, and we saw it as a challenge to try and get it kind of going in the direction that it originally was.
This is your second home in the area, isn't it?
Yes, it is. We lived over on Gundry for 2 years and worked on a house over there.
Now, what exterior changes have you made out here that would be noticeable?
Well, we took off the Tex coat that was originally on the house and returned it to the original finish on the plaster. We took out, there was a big closet at the top, and restored it back to an original deck because we thought that added appeal to the house. And then the landscaping, we've added a lot and removed some old hedges, and that's about it on the outside, on the front.
Now, I know this is called the Angel House because you have an angel in the window. Is there anything significant about that?
No, we bought the Angel from a department store that was doing away with those types of things, and we actually have two.
Oh.
So, and it looks nice in the window, so we don't like putting a screen in the window, so we want something that's more appealing than a blocking screen.
Okay, can we go in and take a look around?
Sure.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, now, how many square foot do you have here?
About 1,785.
Oh, that's a good size.
Yeah.
Oh, this is beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you.
What changes have you made in here?
Well, we tiled the staircase. Originally, the previous owner had painted over the old, there was kind of a faux stone finish on it. She'd removed all the decorative wrought iron. She'd taken out the old plaster fireplace and had a square box. She was trying to get a simplified Asian kind of a look going in here. So she'd taken a lot of details out of the house. And then, so I rebuilt a different fireplace, more of a Victorian style, and tiled and added the wrought iron.
It looks great. While we're here, let's go up the stairs and then we'll come back down and see the rest of the...
After you.
Okay, now, you replaced the staircase here?
I just retiled it. We bought this tile from a company that ordered it from Spain. We cut all the tile and installed it ourselves.
And I noticed the doors. They're beautiful. Did you stencil these?
Yes, I did. I sent them out actually to have them stripped, and then the stencil work was something I came up with, and I think, I mean, they were cheap doors in their day, but you can't get wood like that nowadays, clear fir with no knots in it, so I thought it was better just to leave it and utilize it.
And you did all the stenciling in the house?
Yeah. When we bought the house, this wall and this wall were originally covered with a wall so that she could insulate, so there wasn't windows here. They painted over the inside of the windows, and that was her way of insulating, I guess.
And I have to look across the hall. This room over here looks fantastic.
Well, thanks. Originally, when the house was built, it was an outside patio, and then that's why the ceiling is not quite legal height. But we wanted to make it into they had it as a bedroom. We wanted to convert it into a study office.
Now, you did the painting?
Yes, it's actually the second time I painted this ceiling, and
Well, I guess as tall as you are, you didn't have to do the scaffolding like Michelangelo.
no, it's really hard on your neck looking up all the time like that, but no, it's still being worked on. And we built the cabinets and tiled the floor the same as the rest of the house. Left the window that was original, the light for the staircase, and added the doors and built the deck and everything outside so we could see the yard.
This is fantastic.
Well, thanks.
Doesn't even look like a home to be lived in. And this is one of the bathrooms.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to look in there, but yeah, it's the only room that's left to be worked on.
Well, this is very typical of what it probably looked like in the beginning.
Yeah, the whole house was actually painted with this same Navajo semi-gloss enamel in every room, every fixture, everything. And the light fixture that's up there is the last fixture we haven't replaced.
And the pink and blue was probably popular when this house was built.
Yeah, and it's probably going to make a lot of people upset when we remove it, but when you see the bathroom downstairs, it's going to have the same character and feel as that. So the house will have a uniform feel all the way through then. And we're going to enlarge it. This little bit of hallway is going to actually be part of the bathroom.
Oh. These rooms are all nice size, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. It's amazing they were so big, but the staircase wasn't made large enough to get a queen-size bed up or an armoire, so it was kind of a challenge getting our furniture upstairs.
All right, let's go down and look at the rest of the house. I'm sure everything down there is as spectacular as it is up here.
Yeah, thanks.
How long have you lived here?
We're going on 5 years now, 4.5.
You've done all this work in that short a time?
Yeah, actually we did most of it in the first 2 years. And this is the dining room. We added the beams and the painting. We added the chandelier.
And I'm assuming you did the painting once again?
Yeah, and I carved the beams also. And
you carved them?
Yeah, we saw part of the detail work in a Spanish mansion in Pasadena on their home tour, and I kind of expanded on it. And the wainscot is original to the house. We added a faux finish to it to give it the look it has, and actually we've added the leading on all the windows downstairs where they took out the original windows that were like this. And
is there anything that you can't do?
Well, I can't have a baby, I guess.
I meant in home interior design.
I don't know. I'm pretty good about just jumping on any of the challenges. And this kitchen was we wanted fancy kind of furniture-looking cabinets, so I designed the cabinet so when you're sitting in the dining room, you have a look of furniture rather than cabinets. And we wanted to keep the original arch, so we had some of the cabinets made a little odd size to fit. We took out the windows that were here and put it in the den, and added everything that you see pretty much.
Oh, we have more rooms down here?
Yeah, there's a den and a bathroom.
So this is what the upstairs bathroom is going to look like once it's refinished?
Yeah, the tile and the shower will have the same kind of a feel, but we'll have a jacuzzi tub and.
You did the mosaic on the in the tub area there?
Yeah. Yeah, it was really a challenge because I actually cut it all outside, and then trying to get it up on the wall in the same order wasn't a very easy job. So, and I don't know, we added a hallway because we used this other bedroom as a den, and we didn't want to be passing through all the time, not going through the dining room.
So this is the den in here?
Yes.
Now, the ceiling, you did the coppered ceilings?
Yeah, I saw it in a magazine and wanted to give it a try. It's not as detailed as the version that Elton John has, and he owns a Spanish house in Spain, a big mansion, and his dining room is done with ceiling similar to this. So I kind of copied the idea. And
God, this is fantastic. I hear some water. Can we go out and look at the backyard while we're here?
Yeah, we installed a pond and a waterfall.
Okay, so this is where you spend a lot of time?
Yeah, every night after work I come out and sit here to unwind and look at my fish. And
Oh, look at the big koi.
yeah, it's about 1,000-gallon pond, and we have some really large fish in there.
Is this the second angel?
That's the second one. She's involved in a car accident, you see, and lost an arm, but we like that look.
By the way, you said this is where you relax when you come home from work. I understand that you just opened a new restaurant.
Yeah, the Four Olives Cafe on Atlantic Avenue. Yeah, it's kind of got decorated in the same kind of a feel as our home is.
So if people want to know what your house really looks like, they can go to the Four Olives and find out.
Yeah, kind of some interesting ideas. We have a good chef and great food, and
give us your hours while we're here.
We're closed on Mondays, but we're open for lunch and dinner every day. Open at 11 for lunch, close at 2. Then dinner starts at 5 and stops serving at 9.
And the address?
It's 4276 Atlantic Avenue, and it's kind of a different ambiance for this area.
Now, did you do the backyard here?
Yes, originally there was a carport here. We built the porch from the salvaged lumber from that. There was a hot tub here. We didn't use it, didn't like it, so we put a pond in. And there's a few original plants here, like these 2 big pine topiaries, but everything else is stuff that we've added.
This is quite a large backyard, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really a lot to trim and find a place to put all the trimmings. It's a lot of work, but it's relaxing. It's not done. Nothing's done.
Well, when you're a homeowner, nothing is ever done. There's always things to add, something new to change, and it's a constant job.
Yeah.
Well, you've done a fantastic job on this house. It just is spectacular. I know you were on the home tour a couple times, and this is what people are going to see as they come to the Cal Heights tour.
Yeah, there's a lot of homes with a lot of really interesting character, and I don't know if any of them have our sense of character. But
I can't imagine that any home would be more spectacular than this. I really can't.
Thank you.
So, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
I hope a lot of people stop by the restaurant and come on the home tour.
Well, thanks. We'll be on the home tour. We love going on the tours and seeing other people's homes.
Right. Maybe I'll see you there.
Okay.
Thanks again.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, now don't go away. We'll be right back with more Long Beach Treasures.
Welcome to the Eldorado Park Golf Course, where golf pros like me hang out. I can never count on my putting, but I can always rely on Eldorado's Eagle Specials. $2.95 breakfast, $4.95 lunches, and $6.95 dinners. Even if you're not a pro, you can enjoy great service at even better prices. The Eldorado Park Golf Course Restaurant and Pub.
What makes Paulie's different?
Well, first of all, his coffee is fresh roasted 1,000 miles from Seattle, so we like to have coffee that's fresher and tastes better.
We carry about 70 varieties of coffee. But the thing that I believe makes Paulie's special is the people who work at Paulie's. We're a neighborhood store. We're your family store. We know you, you know us. We'll take care of you. We were voted the #1 coffee house in Long Beach in the recent Press Telegram poll.
Paulie's Gourmet Coffee. Doesn't get any better than this.
right, joining me now is Jim Licks. We're going to see another home up here in Cal Heights. This is completely different than the one we just saw. What is the architectural style here, Jim?
It's the California bungalow. Can't remember the name of the style now.
Dutch, you said something?
Yeah, Dutch Colonial. Dutch Colonial. I found that out when the house was on the tour in 1999. Before that, I thought it was a California bungalow.
Now, this looks like a fairly small home. What's the square footage?
It's around 1,000 square feet.
And is this the original house? Has anything been done to change the exterior?
No. There was sliding glass doors in it originally when I moved in, and I replaced those with French doors. But other than that, no.
And what year was this built?
1924.
And has it always been here?
It was moved from Signal Hill in 1933 when they did a lot of discovery of oil wells, and they moved a lot of homes off of Signal Hill and into this area. There are several in California Heights.
Well, that were on Signal Hill at one time?
Yes.
Oh, so you reaped the benefits of the oil strike.
Right.
Could we go inside and see what it looks like from the inside out?
Sure, let's go.
All right. Wow, I have to comment on this door. This is beautiful. Who did it?
Oh, thank you. It was done by a lady on Beach Boulevard in Huntington Beach, and I can't recall her name offhand. But I had it done in 1999, and I chose the tree design to kind of incorporate the street olive with these beautiful trees and kind of bring it into the house. So
that's one of the nice things of Cal Heights here. You have the old trees here and the antique street lights, which really add to the ambience of the historical district.
Oh, it does, and I love it here.
I particularly like your door because I also have a leaded glass front door. Mine's a parrot sitting in a tree, except I have 18 panels.
Oh.
They're all small. Oh, this is nice in here.
Thank you.
Now, is the interior original?
It is. At one time, there was a doorway where the mock fireplace is that went into the kitchen area. And it was all opened up, and this didn't look quite right. So we closed that up and put the mock fireplace in.
And I assume the French doors were added also?
Right. I did that also around 1998, I believe. That's where there was a sliding glass door there, and it just didn't look right. So we put in the French doors.
This has been well preserved, but just from looking at the molding and the floors and stuff, you can tell that the home is a vintage home.
Yes, you know, the moldings, the crown moldings over the doorways and windows, a lot of those were missing, and I had to have that molding duplicated, and then I installed it.
I notice you have, my house was built in 1918, and I notice you have the glass knobs on your doors, and those are the same that I have in my house.
Oh, yes, yes. You know, I got lucky. I found a whole box of those at an auction for $5. And so I supplied my daughter, who has a home that was built in 1916, and this house here with all the replacement knobs.
Well, let's go on down and see what's down this way. You know, I noticed that you have no window treatments or curtains on the windows, which really gives it a wide open, light, airy feel.
Yeah, we like that, especially in the living room and dining room, to be able to see the street with the trees. And the house sits up kind of high off of the street, so we have a nice view out there. So
I think more and more people are not using window treatments.
Yes, I think so too. Of course, we do have them in the other rooms, in the bedroom and in the den. But
so this is the master bedroom?
This would be the master bedroom.
You have a nice little patio out there.
Oh yeah, very small yard.
Check it out.
But like all of the older homes, this is very small bedrooms.
It's not that small.
You know, it looks a lot larger now. When I bought the home in 1990, there was a king-size waterbed in here, which really looked out of place, and you couldn't even fall out of bed if you wanted to.
Beautiful brass bed.
Oh, thank you. I do a lot of auctioning, so I pick up antiques at the auctions.
Are you an auctioneer?
No, I visit about 4 of them a month though, and I end up buying some antiques for here, and for a while I was selling them, just for kind of a little side project.
You're knowledgeable then on antiques.
Well, somewhat.
Now this would be a second bedroom, but
second bedroom, and we turned it into a TV room. It was a stickly furniture. I've kind of had a fetish for that as well. So I have a little stickly desk and a little table that we picked up. So can't have too many large things in the smaller room, but the desk fits in fine. It was a long time ambition of mine to find a small stickly desk.
I have a lot of the furniture that's in the arts and crafts design.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because it fits in with the house so well.
Exactly.
Yeah. Stickly is unusual furniture in that it's just I don't know how to describe it. It's plain.
It's very simple, very kind of easy to look at. There's nothing complicated about it. Just functional.
And this would have been popular in the turn of the century?
It would have been in the early 1900s on up into the 1930s.
Now, could I assume Stickly was the manufacturer?
Yes, yes. L&JG Stickly is the name of the company.
And their pieces are probably worth more today than they were when they were originally manufactured.
Oh, definitely. This probably sold for $20 when it was originally made.
Think you could buy one today for 20?
No.
All right, we'll go check out some more. Oh, the bathroom must have been remodeled.
The bathroom we refurbished and had a floor put in kind of with the period in mind, and also tile around the tub.
The wood around the tub.
Beadboard.
Beadboard. Did you add that?
I did, yeah. It was when we moved in, it was all kind of a purple wallpaper in this room.
Is beadboard hard to work with?
No, it's real easy.
Because I was thinking of putting beadboard on my ceiling in my bathroom.
Oh, no, it's very easy. Very forgiving.
From you haven't seen what I do.
Now, the kitchen was remodeled in 1972, and we haven't done anything really to bring that back to the 1920s look.
It's a nice sized kitchen, though.
Yeah, it's a very nice size. Plenty of room for cooking, and then there's a laundry area right off of the kitchen.
Could we go out and check your little patio outside?
Sure.
Now, how long have you lived here?
Since 1990.
1990. How many owners previously, do you know?
You know, there were quite a few. I think in the 10-year period before I bought the home, there were about 4 owners. So
it seems like Cal Heights is quite a popular place to live now.
It's very popular, and the home prices have really been increasing lately.
They have all over.
Yeah.
Well, this is a nice little area for entertaining and being outdoors, and it's really quite private, too.
Yeah, we like it, and we've had the hedge grow up kind of over the fence where it extends the height a little bit, so yeah, it's very pleasant back here. We barbecue a lot and enjoy the patio.
Well, where did you live before you moved to Cal Heights?
I lived in Downey.
Oh, really? I taught at Warren High School for 30 years.
Oh, I worked across the street from there when I was in high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went to Downey High School, but I worked over by Warren.
Oh, yeah. I spent 30 years there, the best part of my life.
Wow. See, I've been almost 40 years at Boeing here in Long Beach, so.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us today and showing us your nice little home here. It's really an addition to Cal Heights.
Well, thank you very much.
And I'm glad they brought it down from Signal Hill.
I am too.
Saved it for you. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hey. And I want to make sure that you are aware that coming up is the California Heights Home Tour. Now, this tour is going to be on Sunday, the 12th of October, and you're going to be able to see many of the homes in the area. We showed you 2 examples today, so you'll know what a what a great afternoon you'll have in store. For additional information, you can call Long Beach Heritage at 493-7019 for reservations and or information. So be sure and join us on Sunday, October the 12th, and take a tour of the homes here in California Heights. It's going to be the 7th annual home tour, and every year they have different homes. So you're going to see some spectacular homes up here. And please come back and join us again next month as we take another walk through history and uncover more Long Beach treasures. Welcome to another edition of Long Beach Treasures. I'm your host, Harvey Keller. Today we're visiting the Escher House, and joining me is the owner of the Escher House, Mike Wilson. Mike, thanks for joining me.
My pleasure. Thanks for coming.
Why is this called the Escher House, and when was it built, and what's the architectural style?
It was built in 1929 by William Escher, and William Escher was an architect here in Long Beach that built not only this, but a number of interesting buildings. For example, the Coast Club, Pacific Coast Club, he was involved in that.
I wish we still had.
Which was beautiful, I understand. It was before my time. The style is a Spanish colonial revival, and it was built, as I say again, in 1929 as a duplex, and built by Mr. Peter Coleman. Mr. Escher was the architect, and he actually built the house next door first, lived in that house while he built this.
And this has been designated a historical landmark by the Cultural Heritage Commission in the city of Long Beach.
It has. It's a funny story to me. I was getting painting bids, and the guy was looking around. He said, "Gosh, have you ever thought of letting them have this as a historical landmark?" And I teach history, and it just hadn't occurred to me that they'd be interested in it. And they came from the city and looked around and said they'd like to take it.
Could we go upstairs and check it out?
I'd be honored to have you. Please come up.
Okay. What's this door, Mike?
Well, I want to point this out. I'm glad you asked. This is to what was originally called the wet room, and it served both duplexes. And there's a 3/4 bath in there, and what is now functions as a small studio. But in the day, you would go to the beach and return to the duplex, and then put your beach umbrella and your slippers and everything, take a shower in there, and before you went up to the homes, so you didn't get sand and everything in there. Kind of elegant, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Especially for a house that was built for $9,000.
This house cost $9,000 to build?
3,300 square feet, 14 rooms, oak floors, tile everywhere, $9,000.
Do you think you could get that for it today?
I think so.
Now, how long have you lived here, Mike?
I've lived here 5 years. Last month I've been here.
Oh, what a nice deck here. Is this original tile?
The tile isn't original, but the wood is. And you see the iron windows. Everything is original to the home. I put the tile in, got it down in Mexico. I wanted it to kind of blend with the style of the house.
So can we go on in this way?
Please do. And I want to show you what I like about a home. These little things like this mean the world to me. They're just little knickknacks that they put up, and how they survived.
And they're all original.
Original. And how no one took those, I'm so grateful.
The door looks old, too.
The door is original, and you can see they don't make doors like that anymore. It must weigh, I don't know, what do you think that weighs? 50 pounds? Or?
Oh, I would have no idea.
Look at the original locks on it. And it also has this kind of clever if you wanted to see who's there, you opened up the window. Yeah, I just think they're fun.
No surprises. This is a charming house.
Thank you. And if you'll come in, I'll show you. Many people have a story, oh, you should have seen the house when I bought it, how awful it was. Really, I can only say how wonderful it was when I bought this house. The family that had lived here, the Webb family, 50 years, had taken such good care of this home. They'd loved it, they'd looked after it, they'd done all the repairs that were necessary and upgrades when they could.
Is that a working fireplace?
It is, but I went to have it cleaned about a year ago, and the guy actually literally got down on one knee and said, Mr. Wilson, never light that fireplace again until I do some work. It's a gas fireplace that there's a flue that goes up, but in those days, in 1929, they just weren't so concerned about carbon monoxide, and he told me he thought it was dangerous. So I promised him until I get a little work done on there, I won't use it. The tile you see there is original. Those are Catalina tiles.
Oh.
The flooring is original, oak floors, and the wood here is actually mahogany, and notice the iron windows. I just love that. You can't, those are very hard to replicate today. They're very expensive. And can you imagine at the time they were considered just what you did to a house? You want to step this way into the
dining room?
Sure, this is the dining room. Now, I'll point out a couple things I think are kind of fun. This is the room, this is for the phone. And in 1929, if you had a phone, you wanted to make sure that everybody knew you had a phone. So you had its own little place here. And actually, if you go in the closet and around, there's a place to sit, when there was a place for the phone book and all where you could make your calls. Kind of cute, isn't it? And then up here, if you can see, this light fixture, each one of these different lights turns on and off by itself, except for one of them. So that I have them on the rheostat now, but in the day, you would flip the light on and burn one light. Electricity was still relatively expensive in 1929. And if you had company or a festive occasion, you would actually turn on more lights. So I imagine that you could get an idea of your standing in the house when you came in as how many lights they burned.
Are these some of the original owners here? These
they
pictures?
are. Let me show you here. These are this is Ernest and Mabel Webb. Now, she was a very successful model in New York, and at this time, he was a Navy cadet, you can see here. Then this is shortly before they passed on. They lived in what I use as the rental now, was the owner's unit, 50 years. And this is their daughter, and I'll show you some pictures upstairs of her and her husband, who's actually a friend of mine, Don Natali. And when she passed on, Don was just pretty much heartsick, and he sold the house to me, and I'm actually the third owner of the home. And here's the home through time.
This is what the house looked like originally.
Yes, and I've got a picture upstairs to show you that's very old. Get the street sweeper by. You see the serrated edges here?
Uh-huh.
And this is the Webbs here through time. Look at that old picture. And this looks like to me in the 60s here. You can see the old bug there. The side of the house. Now, I'll show you, for anybody that knows something about construction, they'll get a kick out of this. This is the copy of the original building permit.
From the city of Long Beach.
Yeah, that's all it was.
Huh.
That one little piece of paper there. And if you know, a building permit now can look like a small book.
Let's continue on because we don't have a lot of time.
Sure. This is the kitchen here. And thankfully, this is the original kitchen. Because this was used primarily as the rental, they never renovated this kitchen. They took very good care of it. You can see those are the original tiles.
And that's the original cupboards.
Original
and,
cupboards.
ironwork.
And I'll even show you, I'm going to hold my breath when I open this because I'm not sure what's behind there, but well, not too bad.
Oh.
You can see the slats. And actually, there was at one time a vent that went from here all the way to First Street. I can still see the remnants of it to bring the cool air in and to ventilate the room.
That was sort of like a mini refrigeration system.
Exactly. This back in the day when you had the actual ice boxes.
Could we take a quick run upstairs and...
I'd be happy to have you.
Now, I assume the ironwork here on the staircase is original?
It is. everything really was much as it was, except the bathroom. I did a little renovating in there.
Was it unusual for them to use a lot of wrought iron in construction in that period of time?
No, because it was relatively cheap and the labor wasn't near as what it is now.
Well, this is a nice sized room.
Well, thank you. Actually, what I've done, I took 2 rooms here and made 1 room for my master bedroom.
You must get a nice, cool ocean breeze.
You do. And I just love being up here. And actually, you have a little view of the Queen Mary if you look carefully out the window. I guess what they call it a realtor's view. And why they were building the condos there that are new at the end of Benito actually had an ocean view for a little while. So it was kind of nice. Now, if you'll come this way, I'll show you a picture that I think is quite unique that my girlfriend found. This is Long Beach, and you can see the Pacific Coast Club still standing. The Villa Riviera, which was built in 1929, the same year that this building was built. And here we are. This is my house here. Now you can see from the cars that are down here, this had to have been taken in the mid-30s and no later. And you can see the ocean actually coming here. Kind of interesting, isn't it?
Yes, that's a treasure to find, isn't it?
It is. And Dion found it. It was actually just slowly fading away. This is a copy of it in a business not too far from here because the light was destroying it. You can see up here where it had started to fade. And we were able to donate the picture, and the owner was nice enough to let the Historical Society make a copy of it.
No, I see a glimpse from the bathroom in here. I don't think it's original.
No. Would you like to go in? You're welcome to. It's, as I said, I teach history. I love history. And I think maybe at one time I read a little too much Roman history. I always wanted something like this. This is a jacuzzi, and what's fun here, this is actually a steam room. You put the chair down and push a button, and this fills up with steam in a matter of minutes. And I go from there to the jacuzzi and hardly leave the house sometimes.
I don't think I've ever seen a digital toilet.
Well, the Europeans are ahead of us in some ways, and that's a bidet, and I didn't have room actually to put 2 units in, so I did the one. All this, by the way, Harvey, I got in Mexico. This is a hand-painted Mexican sink, and the granite here. I must have made 20 trips down there because I couldn't have afforded done this.
I noticed in all the rooms you have beautiful flowers.
Yes, my friend Rita from Rita's Flowers on 2nd Street, when she heard you were coming, she insisted, she said, well, please let me come in, and she donated all these flowers to make the rooms look nice.
Well, how wonderful.
Nice of her.
Oh, and this is the den?
This is the den, and what I'd like to show you here is kind of fun, is see the little alcove there? Now, I don't know why they don't make those kind of things in the newer construction. It doesn't cost that much to do, but they don't, and it just makes the room a little unique.
It does indeed.
Well, this is Eunice Natali, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Webb, and my friend Don Natali, and we became friends. I bought the place from him, and after I'd owned it a year, I called him up and told him how much I loved the house, and he was so nice to hear. He was happy to hear from me, and he's the one that sent me the pictures that you saw. And this was really kind of a love affair between the Webbs, Don and his wife.
So she was the daughter of the original owner.
Right, and she lived here with Don. So actually, the house was occupied by the same family more than 50 years.
And that's probably why so few changes have been made architecturally, inside and outside.
And why it was taken such good care of. You didn't have the turnover of the owners. The bones of this house were just perfect. He had updated the plumbing, the electric. He kept after the termites. You know, they're just famous down here in Hungary. And the place had really been loved and cared for.
Well, Mike, I want to thank you for joining us and sharing your treasure with us, because it's been it's a wonderful home.
Well, thank you. I love your program, and I'm just proud to be part of it.
Thank you. And don't go away. We'll be right back with more Long Beach Treasures.
Hi, I'm Beverly O'Neill, Mayor of Long Beach. Please join us in reminding all women 40 and over to have their annual mammogram. Early detection can save your life.
Jonathan on Catalina in Redondo Beach is famous for beautiful designer clothes, but real beauty comes from good health. Please remind women 40 and over to have their annual mammogram. Early detection is the best defense, and together we can beat breast cancer.
Hello and welcome back to Long Beach Treasures. We're once again at the beautiful Walker Building in downtown Long Beach. We filmed here once before and we filmed one of the spectacular penthouses, but it wasn't finished. Now it is, and we're going to go back up and we're going to see the finished product. So come with me and let's go see one spectacular unit. Michael, we're back.
How are you doing, Herb?
Thanks for letting us come back and see the finished product.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Actually, this isn't the finished product. When you were here last, it was about 20% done. It's about 60% done.
The water looks beautiful. I can see that already.
Thank you. This is the infamous wall of water. The whole place began around this wall.
And this cascades 24/7?
Actually, it does. There is an off button, but to keep the laminar flow going, it's best to keep it going, except when it's cleaned out.
And it lights up at night?
Yes. These are a prototype fiber optic panel that was made in each of the levels, and it actually changes as fiber optics do. You can program it to change colors.
Give me a tour. I want to see what all you've done.
Okay.
I've been waiting for this for a long time.
Let's see, last time you saw it, I think there was just barely a floor, right?
That's right.
Well, this is the study area. We just had glass doors put in. I'm a mess when I'm working, so I had to have something to cover up the mess while I'm working, so everything's back there.
Ah. Must be pleasant working here, listening to the water and looking out over the city.
No matter, that's our motto. No matter how much of a mess it is, just keep it clean. Put it behind the door. So the study area. And this is, all the art is not here yet, but this is basically going to be a gallery. And everything's being cleaned before bringing it into the unit. Little spa meets gallery feeling.
The kitchen wasn't finished last time either.
Here's the kitchen. We use a combination of pear wood and stainless, as well as blue pearl granite.
My kind of guy, martini glasses.
So, like I said, this is a work in progress. A virtual labor of love, you know? It has to be.
Now, is this furniture all custom made for the unit?
Some of it is, some of it isn't. The dining area. This is a unique setting at night. This all glows with a neon glow, which actually you can see from the street.
Well, I noticed the lights here.
Those two. These are actually use a lighthouse lens. They're made in France, and it uses a high wattage halide light, and it actually reflects through these lighthouse quality lenses to give it a beam effect. These can be adjusted to anything you want as far as width, display of light.
It must look like Disneyland at night.
That or Las Vegas. I've heard both.
Oh, how nice. Spectacular view from every room, huh?
Absolutely. It's nice to actually see the Long Beach skyline evolving all around us as it is.
Do you still like living downtown?
I love it. This is all new for us, and it's exciting. It's exciting. The goal is to never get in the car on the weekend. Have everything right at your in walking distance. So this is the new addition to the family.
That's a live palm, I take it.
Yeah, likes to be stroked. So,
Let's go up the second story and see what's up there.
Okay.
You have beautiful artwork.
Thank you. As I said, the bulk of it's not even here yet. We're still working through humidity levels in the air, and we're trying to optimize it before bringing any of that in. So, careful, no railing here. Okay, and we're coming up here to the master suite area.
Oh, wow. Now this is a custom made because you said you were having the bed made last time we were up here.
Yeah, this is all made with a premium maple. Everything is, all the built-ins. This whole, basically the whole loft-style penthouse is using natural materials. Stone, wood, concrete, as natural as that can be.
You know, this is so beautiful you would never think that to classify this as a loft.
And it's more of a polished loft. This is a loft building. The penthouses are on the top, and what we wanted to do was make this a little bit refined. It's got loft-like features because this is all open, but yet everything from the finishing, the automotive finish, and the finish of the walls and everything, we wanted to make it a little bit more polished and no open ducting.
Reminds me more of a New York penthouse overlooking Central Park or something.
That would be nice too.
Could we go back?
That would be the next step. So we go here into
what is this?
This is a single piece of amethyst that's been sliced from Brazil. That's been sliced down the middle. They're a matching pair. Unusual to find in this quality and condition, especially having two sides of one stone.
Beautiful.
Yeah. You can tell I'm into stone. So everything's kind of ergonomically designed so that once you're upstairs, you don't have to go back downstairs. Closets on each side. Everything, these were the people who built the furniture also built the closets.
Sure doesn't look like my closet. Oh, wow.
The master bath. Much of this project, which has so far been a year and 9 months in the making, has been just getting the final pieces to put in. These sinks came from Spain. They took a while to get, and everything from the automatic fixtures to the water park ride essentially in there.
You said this is only 60% completed. What more can you do?
I'll show you. We have other things in mind. Most of the inside's complete except for the art and things that are going to be brought in. Here, however, this is still under construction. There's going to be sitting areas and stairs going onto this, which will be lit from the front. And that's being constructed. Otherwise, it's...
Must be neat to sit in here in the jacuzzi tub and just look out at the view of the city at night.
It is nice. You have to keep from drowning. It's slippery in there and it goes deep.
This is just spectacular.
Thank you, Harry.
I assume this lights up at night too?
Yes, they're still working on these fiber optics. There will be a stream coming down here through a clear tube. And so this element, the upper part of the fountain, has not been completed yet.
Oh, this is part of the fountain?
This is part of the downstairs fountain.
Gotcha.
And from this viewpoint, you can see the fountain cascading down the wall.
What a neat feeling.
But everything interacts with each other. They wanted to bring the the downstairs elements up to the upstairs in the single wall. Again, like I said, the whole place is built around the main wall. That's where it started.
How many square feet do you have up here? Or in the unit?
In the inside, we have approximately 2,750 square feet. It's one bedroom. It's very large, open feeling. A lot of the space is not being used. It's basically openness.
Do you use the patio outside area a lot?
Yes, we do. And one thing that I know you've seen in some of the other penthouses is the catwalk,
right?
The feature of all of these. So we have this open feeling, kind of like floating over the space. And we'll go outside. I have to make sure not to lock myself out. Hasn't happened yet, but I'm waiting. So out here is where there's still a lot to be done. This is going to be a front lawn. There's actually going to be a lawn up here with
real grass?
Real grass and downlit. It'll be underlit with a blue crushed glass river rock. Same with over there. If you swing around over there, that is the other roof. And that's actually going to be a functional patio as well.
And this is really a nice entertainment area down here.
Right. Up here is the greatest vantage point for all the development going on down here. It's really amazing. And like I said, this is where we see the skyline of Long Beach evolving.
All of these units, where is everybody coming from?
As soon as you find out, let me know. I know.
What's the traffic like down here?
It's already starting to get congested, so we're already taking alternate routes to come home, coming up from this part of town, and it's already getting congested. I don't know what's going to happen. A lot of parking's going in.
And they just keep building more. But you have a great vantage point up here just to see everything.
Oh yeah, nothing escapes us.
I guess on a clear day you can see forever.
I'll show you the other patio.
Hi. And you said this is your media center here?
This is the control center for everything. Basically audio, visual, T1 internet, everything's in here. So we have, this is still being worked on, but this controls the whole house.
You must have good climate control in here because it's really comfortable.
We do.
And we're going to see the patio?
Right, this is a project ongoing. Come on out here.
What a nice place to entertain. Oh, it's quite large too, isn't it?
Yeah. We just got the palms craned up, having a new water element being put in here. Living area.
They brought the palms up by crane from the ground?
Right. We've had cranes a couple times here. It's quite a scene. We wrap all the way around the house.
Oh, wow. It goes back forever, huh? Is that yours back there where the palms are, too?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
That's going to be a little feng shui entertaining area right outside the study.
Do you cook more outside than you do inside?
Absolutely, absolutely. We live outside.
Oh, I can see why. I absolutely could.
We eat outside.
I think I'd sleep outside as hot as it's been.
Actually, it's cooler inside.
I just can't believe we're on top of the Walker Building in downtown Long Beach.
It's amazing. I remember almost 2 years ago standing up here when there was barely nothing more than steel studs and framing. And we were actually set much lower because this whole roof is elevated up.
Well, next time we come back, we're going to look for something even more spectacular, and I don't know what that could be.
There's more on the way.
Michael, I want to thank you once again for letting us come and visit you, and next time we come back, we're going to come back at night and see something even more spectacular, and I don't know how anything could be more spectacular. But thanks for joining us, and thanks for being such a great host.
Oh, it's my pleasure. We hope you can come back.
And come back and join us again next month as we take another walk through history and see more Long Beach treasures. And by the way, keep open Saturday, October 25th. That's the day for the Historical Society's annual cemetery tour. Come and meet some of the founders of Long Beach, some of the members of the prominent families, and also some interesting people. And be sure and stop by and say hello to William Wilmore. You just might recognize them. So see you on Saturday the 25th at the cemeteries between Orange and California on Willow. And join us again next month as we take another walk through history and uncover more Long Beach treasures. Welcome to another edition of Long Beach Treasures. I'm your host, Harvey Keller. Today we're going to be taking a visual tour of Signal Hill. And joining me as my tour guide is Steve Roden, who is a resident here in Signal Hill. So, Steve, thanks for joining me.
You're very welcome.
Tell me about the well here.
Well, this is Discovery Well. This was the first well that discovered oil in Signal Hill. And Signal Hill became one of the oil capitals of the nation. In fact, they called it Porcupine Hill because there were so many oil derricks back in the early 1900s that there was very little space that didn't have an oil derrick on it.
I understand that you could walk from one derrick's platform to another without even touching the ground. There were so many.
There were so many that you very rarely would find a spot where an oil derrick didn't overcross each other.
And this well came in, I believe, 9:30 p.m. on June 25th, 1921, and Signal Hill was changed forever.
It was changed forever.
You know, I guess when I first heard about Discovery 1, I thought there would be a wooden derrick up here, and it would be a historic event, you know. Now I see it's a working oil well. It's unbelievable that it's still pumping since 1921.
Yes, you're still in a very rich oil-filled area. And the Signal Hill Historical Society does have some of the old derricks left, but they were made of wood. A lot of them burned, a lot of them deteriorated. So there is a few pieces left that they keep for historical purposes that hopefully someday they'll be able to reconstruct.
Let's walk up the hill and look at some of the other things that are of note here.
Great.
Okay, Steve, this is a new park that was just dedicated, I believe, last week?
Yes, opened officially on Saturday.
And it's Discovery Well Park?
This is Discovery Well Park, because we have Discovery Well right here behind us.
Which I notice is now operating.
It is operating. It's on a timer, if I'm not mistaken, and comes on at certain times.
Now, why was this location picked for a park here in Signal Hill?
Well, they recently have had a lot of development that was here, and they wanted to have a certain amount of parks, and one of the reasons they picked this particular park, which has a phenomenal view, is because after the 1933 earthquake here in Long Beach, they used this area to dump a lot of the debris that was cleaned up throughout Long Beach, and so it was really kind of a landfill area portion over here, and so they decided to put the park here, and that's the area that it is.
It's a neat little park.
It's a wonderful park. You have a walking trail that starts down here and goes all the way around the hill, and little areas to stop and work out.
I want to go on up the hill and check out another monument that I see up there. So let's go on up.
Okay.
Okay, Steve, this looks like it's something new. What is this?
This is a Unity Monument, and it's been put here in memory of the September 11th victims. It's a unique piece of artwork, but it is quite spectacular, especially on a sunny day when the sun is reflecting off of the nickel.
And I see the artist is Patrick Vogel?
Yes. I believe he's a local artist, and it was commissioned right after the September 11th, 2001 tragedy in New York.
Art not being one of my better fields, does this have a symbolic representation of some kind, do you know, or is it just whatever you want to imagine it to be?
I imagine that's whatever you want it to be. I think probably because of the coloring and the metal and the twisted metalness of it. I'm sure it has some representation of that.
And I wonder if this is supposed to have any symbolic relationship to the Twin Towers.
Probably so. You'd have to ask the artist on it, of course, but I do notice the times I've been up here, whenever there's a group of people, it's very quiet and everybody kind of reflects and thinks.
We'll just speculate on our own and decide what it is.
That sounds great, Harvey.
Let's keep going.
Okay.
Now, Steve, I see a lot of construction up here. I assume most of these are going to be homes, and I want you to tell us the significance of this particular home.
Okay, well, this particular home recently sold for over $1 million, and it was the first home up here on Signal Hill that sold for over the $1 million mark. And here in Signal Hill, for years, you had so much oil and derricks that it wasn't developed, and over the years, there's been less oil wells and more land that was developable, and now in the last 3 or 4 years, you've had a large amount of developed land that has a view of the ocean and Catalina Island.
And I bet this won't be the last $1 million home up here.
I'm sure it won't, not the way prices are going right now.
And if I'm not mistaken, across the street, which is undeveloped at this particular time, used to be Hilltop. Was it cafe or just a Hilltop?
I think it was Hilltop Restaurant, and it was a restaurant with dancing, and it was a place where a lot of people came, and for the last probably 40, 50 years, up until I believe it was the late 70s. It eventually got closed down. I believe it caught fire and eventually was raised over here. And
I remember in the 50s coming up here having dinner at the Hilltop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I talked to a lot of people that do.
All right, I want to go down and check out the Hilltop Park because I understand there's a spectacular view.
It's an incredible view, Harvey.
Let's check it out.
Okay.
Steve, it's noisy up here, but this is Hilltop Park. You know, it seems like you have quite a bit of open space, green space here in the city.
Well, we do, and one of the great things about Signal Hill is the fact that you have a population of around 10,000, so you have a very close community, and part of their concern about having everything built up here was to also preserve some of the view for the general public and for keeping some open space up here.
I'm anticipating a spectacular view up here because as I look to my left over here, I already see a spectacular view.
Oh yes, we're a little overcast today, but on a clear day you can see Catalina Island, Pacific Palisades, you can see the boats in the harbor.
As Barbara Streisand would say, on a clear day you can see forever.
Exactly.
This is open to the public, I'm assuming.
Yes, it is.
And there, in my readings, I read something about a Denny Mansion. Is it still here?
It's not still here, but the Denny Mansion was a very large home owned up here by the Denny's. And after the oil was discovered, they pretty much leased it or sold it to the oil companies, and the oil companies used it with their offices. It was eventually raised, I believe, in the 60s or 70s, and eventually this land here where we're standing right now is on top of basically a reservoir of water that was installed for the city of Signal Hill.
Wow, this is a spectacular view, isn't it?
It really is, Harvey.
I wished it were clearer, but
and on a clear day on this side you can see all the way downtown LA, occasionally the Hollywood Hills.
Now, give me a little history of Signal Hill. I've read several things about how it got its name. Do you have a definitive answer? Because I have several.
Well, they're probably all correct, but I think the main one was the fact that the Indians would make fires up here and signal the other Indians in the different areas. It was their form of communication, and being one of the highest hills over here near the ocean, it was a great way for them to communicate with everybody. Now you've also, over the years, you had antennas and things up here with radios for TV stations and places like that. So they also use that with signals. So it's always kind of been a hill that has had a relevance of importance with signals.
Now the rim of the hill used to be surrounded with homes and mansions, and the lower levels would be gardens, farming?
You really, back in the early years, a lot of people from Pasadena built their vacation homes here. A lot of the wealthy also built their homes up here. This was out in the country. This wasn't considered close to a thriving city. There was probably just 3 or 4 large mansions right up here on top of the hill, and then down below in the little bit flatter areas you had developers who were building smaller 2,000, 3,000 square foot homes, and that was just getting developed with electricity and streets when all the oil came in.
And before that it was farming?
A lot of farming, a lot of farming.
I read
up
there
here.
were beans, cucumbers, cantaloupe, watermelon.
Right. Lemon trees, everything. I mean, you had a lot of farming that was going on up here. A lot of little farms and areas. You didn't necessarily have the supermarkets the way you do today, and so a lot of people would farm and do their selling from here, or take their trucks into town.
I understand Earl Dougherty, the father of aviation in Long Beach, used to come up here with his friends with their gliders, and the ocean breezes would carry them aloft and they could see forever.
Yes, they do, and you will still see a lot of people come up here with their kites and with their gliding electronic airplanes from here. You also had the Bixby's and the Denny's would race horses from up here down to the ocean. It was a great place to come up and to have a great weekend with the family. A lot of people traveled and traversed a long ways just to come here for special occasions and holidays.
Now this must have been Rancho Los Alamitos land, because I know that they bought the Shell bought the land that they brought in Alamitos 1 on from the Alamitos Land Company, which was the John Bixby company.
Yes, it was. It was kind of the dividing line.
Well, this is really a neat area up here. I guess you're all really proud of it.
We're very proud of it. It was a very hidden kind of secret for a while, not necessarily that incredibly beautiful because of all the oil and refinery stuff that was around here. But over the years, as that has dwindled off, you have a very good mix of the two, and it's an incredible little hidden secret that was up here.
Do you know what you have in common with Rome, Italy?
No, I don't. What is that?
Both have a city within a city, because in the middle of Rome you have Vatican City, completely surrounded by the city of Rome, and up here you have Signal Hill, completely surrounded by Long Beach.
Yes, we do, and this was Long Beach in a lot of those areas. It wasn't until the 1922, after the oil came in, that the oil companies didn't want to be taxed by Long Beach, and they incorporated and became their own city of Signal Hill.
And also the oil did a lot for the development of downtown Long Beach also, because after the oil was discovered in 21, building was going at the rate of $1 million a month. And when you stop to think, the breakers, the Cooper Arms, the Insurance Exchange building, they were built for anywhere from $200,000 to $800,000. So you had huge high-rises going up to the tune of 2 or more a month.
Very much so. Very much so.
And I understand you live in a historic home?
Yes, I do. It's a 1912 home that was built up here from a family from Pasadena, the All Swedes, who also had an emporium here in Long Beach.
Can we go down and take a look at it?
Yes, we can. Let's go.
Let's do it. Okay, Steve, describe the architectural style of your house for me.
Well, this is an arts and crafts bungalow built in the 1912. And arts and crafts back in the early 1900s was a very big thing going on in America. And part of the thing with that was to feel a part of nature, so to kind of blend in. You have different types of arts and crafts. The one next door would be considered an airplane bungalow because a lot of them had the span of the roof went out like wings on an airplane. This one was just more of a bungalow that had a great porch. You were able to have a lot of the greenery and a lot of the plants and things growing around it. You also had massive gardens around because a lot of people like to garden and have it just kind of fit into nature.
Now, you live in a historic district, right?
Yes.
And the historic district here on Signal Hill runs from where to where?
We pretty much run about halfway in this lot to Walnut, and then from just south of Burnett to 25th, which is now called Crescent Drive.
Okay, now, there are an awful lot of, well, there's a lot of vacant land up here in the historic district, and I see relatively few homes. And now, does this mean that
Well,
you either have to bring one in and refurbish it, or
no, not at all. Actually, when the oil came in, you had more homes up here. We probably had about 8 or 9. There was 2 homes across the street that were here. But back then, when the oil came in on the derricks, it wasn't controlled the way it is today with technology. The oil would come blasting up through the ground with rocks and boulders and dirt and mud and everything, all the oil, and so that destroyed a lot of the homes. Rocks and boulders came through roofs and broke eaves and
didn't they move
destroyed things.
Several of them down to
They did.
California
A lot of
Heights?
people had made a lot of money, so they had the option of just selling the home and moving somewhere, but some people were very attached to their homes and moved them. And one in particular was right across the street from us, which is vacant land now, and it is now located down on Redondo and First.
I see this must be an industrial complex over here?
Over here is some commercial, and they sell air conditioning units.
No.
But now, after we were changed to a historical district, which we worked to save the 4 or 5 homes that were left up here, that'll be there as long as they would like for it to be there. But once that business is gone, it will become a residential area, and all this will be developed in residential.
So the 2 choices you have is to relocate an old historic home up here and refurbish it, or build a new one
in some type of period or context of style that would stay with the historical time of the era.
Well, this is all right. Let's go in and see your house.
Okay, great.
Watch the dog.
That's also.
I bet this is really nice and cool in the summertime with all the vines up there.
Yeah, it is very cool. Signal Hill is very cool in the summertime because being up on the hill, we get the ocean breeze and it hits the hill very, very hard. It's almost like 5 or 6 degrees cooler up here all the time.
Now, when did you say your home was built?
This home was built in 1912 by the Allswedes.
I assume the knocker and the door are original?
Yes, everything in the house is original. We were actually the first family to purchase it outside of the Allswede family. It had stayed in their family for the whole period, until we came along.
This is a massive front room.
It's a very long front room. Of course, back in the early 1900s, everybody did a lot of entertaining, and it came off to the dining room, and it was a very long room. In fact, the beams are still encased, which has also helped to keep the house in such remarkable condition.
Beautiful wood.
It's a tiger oak.
I love the coffered ceilings. How many square feet do you have here?
It's a little over 2,000.
Now, the fireplace looks a little more modern than it might have been when originally built.
I would imagine, we don't have any proof of it, but we were told by the family that it came down in the 1933 earthquake and that they retiled it. Of course, the 1933 earthquake was post, I guess you would say, arts and crafts, and so a lot of people went and did some of the stone and flagstone, which was also cheaper considering the Depression and everything. I would imagine originally it was done in a tile of some sort.
Batchelder tile, probably.
Probably so.
You have a spectacular view over here outside of this, the window over here.
Yes, it really is. And back in the early 1900s, a lot of people didn't, I think, relish the view as much as we did. You didn't have as many tall buildings and things like that. When we moved in, there was an original building, an original room right here, and that was more of like a little area that was like an outdoor area, but it blocked a lot of the view, and over the years a lot of it had rotted and been replaced with aluminum siding and stuff, so we took it out.
This is a neat little nook.
Yeah, it has lots of little hidden things like that. It even has little places where they would hide and put things, which a lot of the homes back then did.
You're so fortunate no one came in and painted the woodwork white.
Well, you know, I think probably having the fact that it was owned by the same family,
right,
and one of the previous Allswede families members that lived in here for 50, 60 years did not have any kids, and so it was just her and her husband and then just her, and so I think that kept it original for that sake.
And I see this is the dining room.
And this is a dining room. And after the oil came in, they didn't come here quite as much, and I was told by the family members that they had a pool table in here during World War II, so when all of their sons' friends and people were on leave, they would stay up here and play pool. And then in the the light up here, you'll see the chips in it where the pool sticks would hit it. And then in the plate railings, you'll see where the cigar burns are. And the cigar burns, we just kind of left. We found the plate railings in the basement buried. They had been removed when by the time we had moved in.
Do you use your patio here very much?
Yeah, we really do. We've had some fundraisers, and for entertaining, you open it up, and it's a great place to eat. It's very cool and a phenomenal view.
And when you need to change the oil in your car, you just run out there and get some oil from the well?
Well, I wish it was that simple, but almost.
What else do you want to show us?
Well, we'll come over here to the back. Another interesting portion of the house is the fact back in the early 1900s they did lots of entertaining, but very rarely did they use the kitchen. Your servants or your help would use the kitchen. And so you had quarters for your servants that would live out back, and they would just come in and cook or whatever. So we have a little servants' quarters that's out in the back for all your help.
And that's probably a rental now?
It's a rental. I have a friend that lives here.
Oh.
And he also helps take care of some of the grounds, and he also has a company, Sports Kilt, here in Signal Hill.
Well, let's go look at a couple more homes located here in the Historic District that have been renovated.
That sounds great.
Now, Steve, this is another home in the Historic District. I think this had some significance, you said?
Yeah, one of the owners still lives there. Her name is Ethel. A delightful lady who has had a lot of experience in the history of Signal Hill. Her husband used to be the mayor of Signal Hill, I believe in the 1940s. She's still very active in the community, and it's one of the 5 remaining homes here in the Historical District.
So she has longevity up here on the hill.
She has longevity.
All right, there are a couple more homes I want to go see. I know that they've been moved up here or moved around, and let's go check those out.
Okay, great.
Okay, Steve, I believe this house used to be located down at First and Ocean Boulevard.
It was. It was sitting on the beach, and they were getting ready to demolition it and build condos. They've since built the condos, but John Ellis and Mike Knoll renovated it. They cut it in 4 parts. They had it moved up here, reassembled it, remodeled it on the interior, and put it in our historical district. And we've saved another home from being destroyed.
And I believe this was the original carriage house.
This was the original carriage house, and it's been they've put garages underneath it. And it's now part of the historical district. And this is Roy and Nike.
And I noticed they're protecting the property.
They're very protective.
Now, you know, this house looks like it's a brand new house. It does not look like it's been restored.
Right. Well, what he did, because of the fact that they had to basically cut it in 4 parts and bring it up here, there's a lot of things that you couldn't save. So what they did do is kept it completely modern inside. It's just like having a brand new home, but they kept an essence of the flavor of it.
And I think the only thing on the interior that's still original is the wainscoting in the dining room.
The wainscoting and some of the cabinetry in the dining room. The floor plan is still the same to some degree. Some parts of it were changed in the fireplace.
It's a beautiful home.
Oh, it's a lovely home.
You know, it's sort of ironic. This was moved from Long Beach up to Signal Hill, and during the 20s we were moving them from Signal Hill down to Long Beach.
I know, it really is ironic that we've moved so many houses around, but a lot of people became very attached to their homes, as a lot of people become attached to the homes today, and they've wanted to save them.
So if someone wanted to build in the historic district here in Signal Hill, they could build a home like this and it would be perfectly acceptable.
Correct. In fact, you'll find next door to this home is an old building, which is a termite company, and they're in the process of getting ready to raise that and to build a home there.
Oh, okay. I think there's one other home I want to go see. I think it's called the Greenhouse.
Yes, it was built by Horace Green, and we can go take a look at it.
All right. Okay, now this is the other house up here that was always on Signal Hill, but it used to be on the vacant lot over there.
On the other side. It was built by Horace Green. We call it the Greenhouse, not to be mistaken with a Green and Green.
Now, Horace Green used to have a hardware store in downtown Long Beach,
Long Beach, and he built this home over here, and he also had a matching one for his daughter next door. And when the oil came in, one of them was destroyed, and then his was damaged, and what he did was he rented it out as a flop house for a lot of the oil workers, and then it later also became a fraternity house. And when we ran across it up here, the city was getting ready to tear it down for the development that was over here.
This is hard to believe that this is an old house. It looks so spectacularly new.
Well, it was in a very large, in great despair. I mean, there wasn't too much left of it that was going to be salvageable. And what John has done is, again, like the other one that we looked at over here off of First and Ocean, is he moved it across the street to the property that he had, and he refurbished it. Again, he completely modernized it. It's like having a brand new home, but he kept a flavor of the history that it was originally built with.
Looking over the fence, I see what looks like maybe a water tower, is it?
That's actually another historical home that's back there. That's owned by Will Gilliam. He's probably in his late 70s, and he's been here in Signal Hill with his mother originally moved here, and he's had that home for quite a while too. I believe a captain originally built that, and that's kind of a turret that's back there.
Ah. Well, this is a neat area. It's going to grow and grow and grow.
I think that it will grow and grow, and we've been able to keep a certain amount of history with it and save what remaining historical homes are here in Signal Hill.
All right, there's a couple more stops I want to make, so let's go.
You got it.
All right, Steve, I had to, no stop on Signal Hill would be complete without a stop at world-famous Curly's Cafe. 1932?
1932, and Curly's is where a lot of the oil workers would come after work and hang out, and it's now owned by David Frick, but Curly owned it, I think, up until the 60s or 70s, I'm not real sure, and it has a lot of oil history to it.
And I think one of the most unusual things that I find about Curly's is how many restaurants do you have an oil well pumping right outside the front door?
Not very many, but not too many homes do you find oil wells outside their door, and a lot of the homes here have them also.
And I guess they do a booming business up here.
They really do. They're known for some of their worldwide hamburgers and great food, and it's just got that old world feel to it.
All right, one last stop at City Hall, and I think that'll do it.
Okay, great.
Let's go.
Okay.
All right, Steve, this is City Hall. And I see that we're going from Craftsman Bungalow to Art Deco.
Yeah, well, this was built, I believe, sometime in the 1920s, or 30s, actually, I think 33. And Art Deco was a very stylish style of the time, and has some great remnants of the original architecture and work that's done on it.
So Signal Hill, like most cities, has an eclectic mix of architectural styles.
Especially in Southern California, it does.
And I understand there are some fantastic photos in here that I'd like to go in and see.
Wonderful photos.
Of early Signal Hill?
Of early Signal Hill, especially during the oil era.
Okay. Steve, I suppose this mural here probably depicts pretty closely what Signal Hill must have looked like after 1921.
It really does. You're starting to see all the old derricks that are going up. And then once you get into the photos over here, you'll see even more of the old derricks that would go up. It was referred to as Porcupine Hill because there were so many old derricks, and it looked like the back of a porcupine.
I also noticed standing down here, the ceiling here in the City Hall, really Art Deco, and I really like the chandelier up there. This is really quite an attractive City Hall.
It's just phenomenal.
And these are the pictures here on the wall?
These are a lot of the pictures throughout City Hall that we have of different oil gushers and different oil derricks and wells that were coming up during the heyday of Signal Hill.
Look at the houses butted right up next to an oil derrick.
Right, and of course most of the homes were there before the oil derricks, and then the oil derricks came secondarily.
Wow. There were some fairly small homes, then you have some fairly large homes.
Yeah, well, just like a lot of cities in Signal Hill, you had your small bungalows, and then you had your larger homes that were there too. You just had a mix of it all.
And here we are, March 1923.
And you notice all the numbers on the oil derricks that are up here. So each oil derrick was numbered so that you knew the owner and the name of the oil derrick.
Now here we have a whole lot of homes that haven't been moved, destroyed, or changed yet.
Yeah, a very large amount of them. It took really a lot over the years, especially when a lot of them were rented out.
Were people living in tents?
Oh, definitely. The first city hall in the city area, when they incorporated it into a city, was pretty much just a little shanty town of tents until the city hall that we currently have now was built.
Steve, I'm impressed with your city of Signal Hill, and I want to thank you for being my tour guide today. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope to see you soon, and I thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you, Harvey.
And be sure and join us again next month as we take another walk through history and uncover more Long Beach treasures. To another edition of Long Beach Treasures. I'm your host, Harvey Keller. Today we're going to be visiting the East Village and see what surprises they have in store for us. And joining me as my tour guide today is Casey Carver. Casey, welcome. And
Hi.
Casey is the president of the East Village Association. What is the East Village?
Well, the East Village is from Ocean Boulevard to 10th Street, from Alamitos to Long Beach Boulevard. It's a very eclectic neighborhood of a lot of stores, galleries, restaurants, bars, where we celebrate a lot of art and celebrate the people of our city and the beauty that they create.
And we're standing here at the corner of Broadway and Linden, and I just wanted to point out some of the historic buildings you have. The one across the street was built, I believe, in 1933. It's a Streamline Moderne. And I point this out because in a little while we're going to see this replicated in tile. Across the street we have the Lafayette Complex, and also we have on the other corner here we have the Broadland Hotel. So these are three of the buildings here that have historic significance in the district. And where do you want to go from here?
Well, Harvey, just to thank you for showing off our buildings. Remember that part of the East Village's charm is that we do have a lot of beautiful old historic buildings. And right now I'd like to show you, this is our Portfolio Cafe. And just on this street we have an Indonesian store, we have a Moroccan store, and a lot of beautiful things.
Did you want to go down and visit the Moroccan store while we're here?
Yes, if they're open. Let's go see. Okay.
And as we go by here, Casey, I want to point out the Mystic Tide. Now this is a sculpture, and I believe the artist is...
I am not sure who the artist is. This was put up about 1995. There are a series of sculptures like this along the Broadway, and they are to represent some of the little animals that you'd find at the bottom of the sea that you never see, and they're microscopic many times. And we did this because it was to represent some of the things you might see in our new aquarium, which was being planned at that time.
Dean Smith was the artist.
Dean Smith.
And these are 15-foot high poles, and the sculptures themselves weigh 350 pounds, and this one happens to be called Sanctuary.
Well, you know it, and it's very good. I've lived here all my life, but I didn't know all the history about this. I do know about a lot of the other artwork that we've done recently. We have switchgear boxes, we have bike racks, everything, and so I'd love to show that to you.
Oh, we'll check them out along the way. Now, Casey, this is one of your art projects. Tell me about it.
Well, this is one of 36 switchgear boxes that we had painted in the East Village. This is done by a wonderful artist named Dana Fox. He is also from Long Beach Arts at 7th Street in Alamitos. Dana is one of our fine artists who has been in Long Beach for a long time. You can see he's depicted the convention center, and then on another side we have the aquarium, which is a great rendition. And then on the other side we have our World Trade Center. No, that's Landmark. I'm sorry, Landmark Center on Ocean. And the last is the Queen Mary with fireworks. And it just represents some of the most beautiful things about our city. And we painted these so that we would have a lot of tourists noticing all the beauty of the area. You can see part of the framing has sort of an Art Deco look, which is very representative of the East Village.
They're really quite attractive, much more attractive than just a big old white switch box.
Correct. And remember that there are 36 of them within Ocean Boulevard to 7th Street and from Long Beach Boulevard to Alameda's. That's quite a concentration. We're also planning on painting about 30 more. And they're all by individual artists. 36 different people did this.
And I want to point out as we walk along here the glass bricks here, because the basement of the Broadland Hotel comes out underneath the sidewalk.
Correct.
And this is
Correct.
what lets the light in to the underground area.
Right, and they're planning on doing quite a few things with this wonderful old building. Right now we have a beautiful store here that just opened called Danner Broadland Furnishings for the Home, and they have many antiques and antique reproductions and a lot of furniture. It's a beautiful store that uses the space, which is a 2-story space and upstairs display space you can see from the street. It really looks great, and they're restoring the building right now, and it's one of our jewels.
This, by the way, is one of my favorite buildings in Long Beach. And while we go across here, I want to point out a couple other things across the street at the Broadland Hotel. If you look up at the top, you'll see the ram's head, and that was part of the symbol for the Parisian Internationale in 1924, which was the start of the Art Deco period. And right above the Lafayette entryway, you'll notice the sculpture there, which is Night and Day, which is a replica from the de Medici tomb in Florence, Italy. And I point that out because we're going to see this again replicated.
Correct, we will. And I wanted to introduce my friend who lives at the Lafayette. And this is Gregory Jeffers. And Greg, just tell him what it's like to live down here.
Well, I've been here for about 5 years, and I love actually what the whole village has become. I mean, it's really become a vibrant part of downtown and vibrant part of Long Beach. I mean, 10 years ago we wouldn't walk downtown, and now there's a lot of people moving down here. It's a very comfortable place to live, even at night, walking, and people are very comfortable. It's a great place for artists and, you know, art enthusiasts.
And we also have our second Saturday art walks here on Linden between 1st and Broadway, the second Saturday of every month. We start about a little before sunset and go until late in the night. We have music and bands, and you can see this on our website, eastvillageartsdistrict.com. By the way, Greg and I are also part of St. Baldrick's. We're going to be shaving our heads again for raising money for kids with cancer. And we plan to raise $50,000 right here in Long Beach in the Arts District to support the Memorial Hospital's Miller's Children's Hospital in Long Beach and other charities like that through stbaldricks.com. So it'll be on our website. Check it out.
You know, one of the neat things about living in the Lafayette, even though it's a historic building, this was the first Miss Universe
back in 1952.
I believe in the old ballroom, the first televised boxing match took place. And this, after the Lafayette Hotel closed down, was the first building on the West Coast to be converted into condominiums.
Residential condominiums, right in 1969. Yes.
Correct, and I had my high school prom here.
Now you're giving away your age.
Yes, I do. It was in the new ballroom, which has been torn down, and now they're building a new hotel right there.
All right, let's continue on down.
Let's go on down.
Thanks for stopping by.
Take care.
All right.
Okay, I just wanted to point out the Campbell Apartments. This was built, I believe, in around 1928. This was the third building in the Lafayette complex when it was the Hilton Hotel, or the Lafayette Hotel, owned by the Hilton chain. Joining me now is Phil Appleby, and I have to give Phil credit because I think in 1991 you were the one who spearheaded the renaissance of the East Village Art District, and I want to thank you for it because you've had a tremendous success. And this, speaking of successes, is going to be your next accomplishment. Tell me about it.
Well, you know, in in life you should always have small goals and then one big, hairy, audacious goal. And this is our most recent hairy, audacious goal. It is a somewhere between a 40 and a 50,000 square foot building that we hope to build in the East Village. It will house artists, about 70 to 100 artists. They will work. They will not live in these spaces, but they will work and they will market their artwork in this facility. The models are all over the country, but this is a little bit unique. We've modeled it a little bit after the Torpedo Factory in Alexandria, Virginia. But this one has a little bit of a flair. We have industrial art as a strong component in Long Beach, and so we will have a theater where people can sit and watch glass blowers and other industrial artists do their particular artwork. We hope that this will get off the ground in the next several years. We would like the support of the redevelopment agency and the City of Long Beach, and they have been 100% behind this project.
Good. I wish you luck, and I can't wait to see it finished. Because, you know, one thing I like about this, you said you're going to have a theater where people can watch. That's almost like Savory had when he first developed the colony down here in the 1920s.
In the East Village.
Yeah. It was called Wayside Colony.
Wayside Colony, yeah.
Some of our viewers might remember the old Brittany Kitchen, the rooftop theater, which later became the Long Beach Playhouse. So this is right on line with what he envisioned back in the 20s.
Kind of part of the Cosmo.
Absolutely. Thanks, Phil.
Thank you, and welcome to the East Village.
Thank you. Casey, this is a fantastic piece of artwork in tile, and I wanted to point this out. Not only is it a transit bench, but you'll notice again the replication of Night and Day that was on the Lafayette Hotel down there.
Correct, and this is done by our wonderful friend Carrie Zarders. She is an artist who does all kinds of beautiful ceramic. She does fountains, everything, and we're just so pleased that this is right here. You notice on the side of the bench, you'll see some advertisements for some of the old businesses that used to be in downtown Long Beach, probably in the 20s and 30s when Art Deco was big. And so she wanted to represent some of the old businesses and the history in the East Village. There's also a pillar here that's very beautiful. And it is also done in an Art Deco style, and it represents some of the other buildings and styles that you'll see throughout the East Village. Remember that we have a huge amount of history here and a lot of beautiful art that you may need to go inside a building to see.
These are all individual little pieces of tile that she has...
Correct, and she did all this, and we're just so pleased. This is what we're doing in the East Village. Many more projects like this. We have all kinds of other things planned with our art park, and then also a lot more mosaic. We want to do benches and decorated pots and all kinds of other things because we feel that it's very substantial, it's sturdy, it's beautiful, it'll last forever.
Okay, let's go across the street because I know there's some tile work over there that I want to point out because it's as well as spectacular as well.
Of course, we got lots of it. Let's go.
All right.
This is our Village Tour de Art bus. It takes people through the historic district and also up to the Museum of Latin American Art. Lots of other places along the way.
And that's a free ride?
It's a minimal charge, and I think sometimes it's free. We hope to have that going during our Tour des Artistes in June. I wanted to show you our wonderful Utopia restaurant. Look up here, and this is a mosaic by Mike McCormick, another Long Beach artist. He actually teaches for Long Beach City College mosaic classes, and his website is Mike McCormick, or Mike's Mosaic, that's it. And this building, wonderful old Art Deco building, we have written a grant which the city gave us $300,000 to improve this whole block. And what we're going to do is enhance all of the beauty of this building by adding extra lighting. Of course, it will be Art Deco. It will show off the building better, and it will brighten the street. Because this is right where we have our second Saturday art walks, where there's hundreds of people walking around, and we wanted to have it lighter. So let's go inside the restaurant.
I just want to point out before we go in that this was a building that was designed by Schilling & Schilling, who also did the Lafayette Hotel complex. All right, Casey, would you introduce our guest?
Good. We're in the Utopia restaurant, and this is Cameron Asadi, the owner.
Now, you not only serve great food, but you have an art exhibit also, don't you?
Yeah, we do actually. We rotate our exhibition every 2 months, and we feature local artists and some not so local artists. The current exhibition we have is a German photographer and actually a local photographer. So
good. Well, I'm going to see you Saturday because I'm having dinner here.
Looking forward to seeing you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, I want to point out some beautiful tile work. This was a community development block grant for street improvement, and some of the street improvement along First Street here was the tile work. You'll notice we're standing in front of Flowers by Vicky, and if you look at the tile work here, and you can tell me who the artist is.
Well, the artist is Tom Barter, who is from Long Beach, and now he's living in New Zealand. He's done a lot of great artwork, and we're going to see a lot of it at this building. This is the first facade improvement program that we did in the East Village a few years ago, and then we have our second one that has been granted to us that will start in March.
You notice I point this out because this is the back of the Broadland Hotel, which is right down on the corner of Broadway and Linden. Let's take a short walk down here and look at some of the other tile work. Now, is the tile work all by the same artist?
It's all done by Tom Barter, and then he had other people working for him, but he is the one who designed it, fired everything himself, and he did it all in his studio right in Long Beach, a place called Silica Studios, where they have glass blowing, ceramic, and other industrial arts.
And here's it almost in front of the Passport Coffee Shop with another one of the Mystic Tide sculptures, and
Correct.
Again, that sanctuary.
Right. Very beautiful. I love the colors, I love the brightness, and it also mixes in with the Art Deco look of the neighborhood. You can see the top pillars
Now,
really
I believe
accentuate
this is an apartment building which is between Broadway and 3rd Street on Linden.
I think that is part of the 555 building where the 555 restaurant is.
You're right, because this is the
Cooper Arms right in the
Arms.
back. Yes. Yes, and he represented so much of the new and the old in the town, how it all blends together.
Boy, this really makes a big improvement for the street. It's just really beautiful.
Correct, and we have our second Saturday Art Walks here, and we do encourage everybody to come and see the art that's permanently here. Now this is at 3rd and Linden.
Right, this is the apartment building I was talking about, and the church there on 3rd Street.
The COA is right there, and once again, he made sort of a beauty out of something that might need some work there, but it's really gorgeous. I just love that.
He fired the tiles himself and did the whole process?
Correct. He's a master artist, and we're sorry that he moved to New Zealand, but he and his daughter and his wife is from New Zealand, and I'm sure he's just dazzling them down under.
Now this is why I stopped at Broadway and Linden, because I wanted to point out the Streamline Moderne building. Here it is replicated, and he did a fantastic job. It looks the same as the original building.
Correct, and this is owned by Nancy Downs Chitty at the corner of Broadway and Linden, and we're very pleased that she has restored it and kept it looking very Art Deco, sort of like South Beach in Miami.
Nancy Downs?
Nancy Downs Chitty.
She has a home that has a chapel in it?
Yes, she owns a house with a chapel. She doesn't live there anymore, but she used to do weddings in the chapel, which used to be a Jewish temple.
I was installed as president of Long Beach Heritage in that chapel.
Well,
so let's go on down.
Wait. Good, and I wanted you to see down the street we have a lot of unique businesses. We have a futon place, we have a wonderful Chinese restaurant, and then a trophy store. But once again, overall, we have a lot more tile here. This was part of a facade improvement grant, and we also did the whole building. We added the lighting, we added a lot of other things, and Phil Appleby and the East Village Association did all of this years ago. But
this is quite a piece of artwork here.
This is also by Tom Barter, and he just installed this a couple of months ago. It is also paid for by Long Beach Transit, as well as the bench that we saw. And Tom designed this. It is to represent a lot of kids' bicycles and tricycles stacked up to pick up the theme of the transient type thing. And this is right in front of Al's Fish Market, and one of great little things. In fact, if you were to come around to this side, you'll probably see the name Barter 2002. And so he signed it in a very unique way, because Tom's just a real fun guy, really nice and interesting, and we're very pleased that his art is here. We do intend to do more pieces like this so that we can, once again, show off our artists and show off their art.
Fantastic tile work.
Yeah. And behind it, by the way, is the Hotel des Artistes. And this is a regular rooming house. It's probably single apartments, but we call it Hotel des Artistes because it represents the arts in our neighborhood. Okay, and I'd also like to introduce my vice president of the East Village Association, Wade Francis.
Wade, welcome.
Welcome to you. Thank you.
Wade owns the Gatsby apartment that we're going to see later on.
Okay. And what do you want to tell us about the East Village?
Well, we made an investment in the East Village last year because we've been noticing all the wonderful things that's been happening. And when you look down here, what we see is the trend is people want to be back into an urban environment. So the urban exodus is pretty much over, and people now want to come back into a place where they can have nice things. They can walk to the theater, they can walk to the beach, have good blue line to go up to LA and on to Hollywood and to Pasadena. And now is a good time to make an investment. And so we've been very happy with what we've been able to do down here, and we're just very pleased with where the whole neighborhood's going.
Well, good. Let's go see some more.
That sounds good.
Right.
Joining me now is the artist Steve Elliker, and Steve, I think you had a lot to do with designing this pocket park.
Well, there's a lot of people that had a lot to do with it actually, but I've been fortunate enough to be kept on the job throughout the entirety of the project.
Who did the gates?
Lisa Jacobs and Tom Walker designed and fabricated the gates, and the glass insets I actually produced in my studio.
And tell me about the park. What's it going to be used for? And
well, the idea was that it's a park within the arts community, and the way the process started, we did a design charrette, and the community came together and had a list of things that they would like to see happen in this space. And then it was my task to work with the landscape architect and try and make as many of those things feasible, but still maintain the integrity of a park.
So you have a little stage here where you can have small venues?
Well, correct. The idea is, you know, performance art is a possibility, and the grid that's an aesthetic element turns into like a backdrop, an opportunity for a backdrop for, say, Shakespeare in the Park type situation, or maybe hanging large format artwork, things of that nature.
And this will be a wisteria arbor here?
That's correct. And, you know, it'll probably take a good, you know, 3 years or so for the landscape to fully mature and come in, but eventually the wisteria will go across the top, and then when it goes into bloom once a year, it'll kind of drop and have this kind of veiled entrance kind of statement.
Now, these, I assume, are specially designed benches?
That's correct. Another local artist, Koji Wakayoshi, made these, and they're fabricated of ironwood. And we wanted something, we kind of call them a meditation bench. They're kind of wide enough for someone to come in and sit on, or even have a lunch on and still feel comfortable, you know, a wide enough surface.
And I believe you're going to have your dedication here very soon, aren't you?
Yeah, we're trying to figure out a date that works for everyone. It's going to be a pretty big event with City Council and RDA and everyone that's been involved along the way. I think we're looking late March, early April, sometime like that.
It'll be nice when all the vegetation is grown up and it blocks out the view here to the south, the buildings, and just will give it just a really neat feeling in here.
I agree. I think that, you know, you try to see 3 years from now when the vines are grown up and you don't see all of the visual traffic. Really what you start to focus on is the skyline, which is beautiful from here. So
while we're standing here, I want to point out across the street, the parking lot over there. I believe that's where the new building that you want to construct here in the East Village will be going?
We are surely hopeful of that. The arts community is kind of rallying together to try and be taken serious as a serious new construction project for the city of Long Beach and employ artists, offer them an opportunity to actually sell their work in Long Beach as well. So things have gone forward. We got a feasibility study, and now we need to sell the city and RDA on the project.
Thanks for stopping by and giving me your tour of the park. And
You bet.
Come for the grand opening.
Excellent. My pleasure.
All right. Okay, this is another switch box here, and the artist is?
Our Terrazina, and this is just one of the many variations of the switchgear boxes that we have of the 36. Everyone is so unique and so different. None of them look alike.
And I think we have time to make one more stop, and I have something in mind. So let's go.
All right.
Casey, this looks like an outdoor garden. What is it?
Of course it is. It's Long Beach Organics Community Garden. It's their East Village garden. And we have, once again, we're going to have a facade improvement program where we'll build a new iron gate around this garden. We're actually going to set it back from the street about 10 to 12 feet. And then we'll put 2 benches at the entry. It'll have an arched gate over it with lighting. And then we'll have maybe a water element if we can do it, some kind of a fountain. But we're going to use our local artists to do a lot of ceramic and beautify it, and also make it another little place to sit.
Okay, we have just a minute or 2 left, and I have to go into the House of Hayden.
You betcha we do, because this is probably the most unique place because of the bathrooms.
All right. Okay, we're in the House of Hayden, and this is David Hayden next to me. And we came in here because they have the most unusual bathrooms in the city of Long Beach. David, tell me about it.
Well, I designed it to look like the Alamo jail cell. That's what I call it anyhow.
And it's all
cement. Yeah, it's institutional. It's all penal wear from the for jailhouses. It's all brand new equipment, but that's what it is.
So this is exactly the same type of equipment that would be in a jail or prison?
Yeah,
or
county jail or something like that. Yeah, that's it. Stainless steel.
That's unusual, and it's really neat. Let's check out the women's bathroom while we're here.
Okay. It's a little upscale, I think, from the boys.
Oh, it's a little fancier, but it still has the institutional look. That's great. Casey, thanks for joining me today. Since there's so much to see in the East Village, we're going to have to do 2 shows. So this is part 1, and we'll do part 2, which will be shown at a later date. So thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
And be sure and join us again next month as we take another walk through history and uncover more Long Beach treasures.
Welcome to the El Dorado Park Golf Course.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Long Beach Treasures. I'm your host, Harvey Keller. Today we're fortunate to be able to go through the Ginny Reeves home. This is a 1905 green and green craftsman bungalow. It's one of the 10 historical sites in Long Beach that's on the National Registry of Historic Places. So if you'll come with me, we'll go knock on the front door and we'll see this beautiful, beautiful craftsman home. Hi, Jackie.
Hello, Harvey. Welcome to my home.
Thank you. I am so pleased that I finally get to see this. This is the last historic building in Long Beach on the National Registry that I have not been in. So I'm really looking forward to it.
You had never been here before?
Never. Tell us a little about this is a green and green, and so you're going to have to point out a lot of the green and green influences.
I'd be happy to. Well, the house was built in 1904. Originally it was on 3rd and Cedar, then it was moved to 10th and Pine, and then it was moved up here in the 50s by Dr. Ray Townsend. So when he brought it up here, he contacted the Greens again to put on a 2nd story in the back and an additional area in the back of the lower part of the house. But I'd like to point out this lovely light fixture. This is an original piece that was on, you know, it has been with the house ever since it was built, when it was down on Cedar Avenue. And this was built for Jenny Reeve. Jenny Reeve was a seamstress. She was very interested in green and green. She had a cousin named Mary Darling who had a green and green house in Claremont. So the two of them were like, you know, hooked at the hip, and each one was trying to outdo the other. But just in those days, you know, the great thing about the Greens is that they were so innovative because they built the house into the landscape. So they really built, they probably saw, when they saw this site, they plotted it right into the trees and everything, because you can see these trees are all very, very mature.
And they personalized their homes, didn't they, for the owners?
Well, they did. Like Jenny was a tiny lady, so when you get into the living room, you'll see that it's low. The ceilings are 8 feet high. But when we bought the house, which I'm like the 3rd and a half owner, because my husband and his former wife lived here for 25 years before they divorced and I married him. And when I moved in, we decided that we would restore it and put it back the way it should have been always. But my restoration consultant, who happens to be Randall Mackinson, who's the foremost authority on green and green, incidentally.
Wasn't he the director at the Gamble House?
Yes, he was, and he's fabulous. I mean, he really got into it, and he said, Jackie, if the Greens were alive today, they would allow you to bring your personality into the house. So, you know, what do you feel you'd like to do? So, being a colorful person and a redhead and, you know, loving light, we decided to open it up and brighten it up. Now, just let me point one thing out, though, because at the turn of the century, it wasn't that Jenny Reeve did anything wrong, but the colors in those days were very dark. The colors of the house was chocolate brown, olive green, and amber. So we opened it up. Now, when people come to see our house, they all think it's going to be really dark, but wait for the surprise that's in store for you.
And this door has to be original.
It is. It really is. It was, notice how wide it is.
And it looks short, too.
Well, because she was a tiny lady. Remember, she was only probably shorter than you, I bet, because the ceilings are only 8 feet high. And this glass, which is kind of a yellow, and when you shoot it from the other side, you'll see it has a peach cast. When we came into the house, I changed the color to a very light peach on the walls. And as the Gamble House has their relief in the house is oak trees, and they have all the oak glass, you know, in the light fixtures, and the gorgeous door in the front. Ours is cherry blossoms. So we have a cherry blossom window over here that depicts the cycle of the day. Starts out like in the morning, like if you've ever been in the desert and you look at a blossom, you notice how it changes light. Goes through the daytime, and then upstairs we have evening in the bathroom. And sounds funny, doesn't it? And all the light fixtures have some kind of cherry blossom motif. But I'd like to point out something original here, which is we have beautiful quarter oak floors everywhere. And I have carpeting in the living room and in the bedrooms and the halls and the bathroom, just as a matter of preference. But the floors are in very good condition. This is a feature of Green and Green, this built-in cabinet, sitting area. And I have the wonderful cushions that go there, but they always make you take it out when you show a house because they want to show off the wood.
Are the designs up there symbolic of anything?
They're symbolic of the leaves that were originally here in the house, and the cloud lift, which is sort of a design that you see up here in the corners of the light fixture as well. You can see how the cutout works, picks up these cutouts here on the wall. And these are original doors that are wonderful sliding doors.
Oh, the pocket doors.
Yeah, the pocket doors. They slide open and they slide closed. We leave them open. And then when you come in, I mean, didn't it look like a dark house when you walked up?
Yes.
But notice how light and airy it is.
And I assume these are all
This is a restoration piece. This was the first piece that we put back. In all fairness, when Bob and Gloria were married, the house, when they moved in here, the house was in disrepair. The cabinet was falling apart, so they took it out. This was the first piece that Randall suggested that we put back. And when he put it back, he did a very intelligent thing. He made the shelves glass so that when you turn on the light, it becomes a light piece oven to itself. It lights up the room, and when you have beautiful pieces in there, which aren't so great now because I'm selling the house, but it gives you the effect of it all.
It almost becomes a sculpture.
It does. It's lovely. And notice something else. Feel the woods. We have the pegs here and everything, but the light fixture on the back, and incidentally, It's in the cherry blossom. It has a cherry blossom sculpture in the copper on it, and if you feel the wood, you can see how satiny it is. It's rubbed to the finish of satin, and there are ebony pegs. And when we get upstairs to the bedroom, I'll show you a choice that Miss Reeve had when she built the house and didn't do, but you know, another owner could if they wanted to.
This is really a hallmark of the green and green design, isn't it? This little ingle nook.
This is a tradition. This is called the ingle nook. They have them in all the houses. The seating area lifts up. It's great for storage. In the wintertime, people cuddle up in here and read books and so forth. When we have parties, it's always just crowded with people. It's a wonderful, cozy house. This house is great. It deserves an owner that either has children or likes to entertain. We used to do a lot of entertaining.
Oh, this would be a great home for entertaining. Look at
wonderful.
The size of this front
and look
room.
At the beautiful room. Look at the beautiful woods up in the beams, and the curtains are rotted top and bottom. They have a special little rod peg. I'll show it to you. That slides out, and there's a little peg that goes in there, and it's wooden. And the curtains will of course stay. They're French lace, and they open it up and let the light in. And this is a great house because it's like it changes personality in the morning and in the evening. It's bright and shiny now, but in the evening it takes on the aura of candlelight. It's absolutely magical.
How long have you lived here?
I've lived here for 26 years. And when Bob and Gloria first moved here, well, actually, when the house was first built, this was the living room, and this was the bedroom. And there was another sliding door, just like you saw over here as we entered. And this was the bedroom. And then when the Townsends had the house and they moved into it when it came up here, they made this the formal living room in the front and sort of like a family room in the back. But when Bob and Gloria moved in, they opened it up and they put an I-beam here, which is another aspect of what the Greens would allow their owners to do. I mean, if they were building the house today and somebody said, gee, I like to entertain, but my room isn't large enough, they probably would have said the same thing. Well, let's open it up, let's put an I-beam, and that's exactly what they did. They adapted to the client. So when you restore a house, you don't necessarily have to put it back exactly the way it was. You do it to your taste and your special needs without destroying the integrity, the architecture. Hopefully you put back more appointments like we did. You know, I wanted to start out with the glass work because that's what I really missed about it when I saw the Gamble House, at which I am a docent.
Oh, really?
Yes, I am.
Oh.
I thought if I have this important house, I should be able to articulate it properly.
Oh, we have another fireplace.
Another fireplace. Actually, there used to be 3 fireplaces here. There was one in the dining room, but it was lost in a move. And everything is, it's a wonderful, as I said, it's just great and cozy in the
Are these
wintertime.
original screens?
Yes. Yes, they are. They are. Now, let me tell you about these wall panels here. As you can see, it follows the cherry blossom motif in the window. They're the same configuration that used to be here when the house was original. This was a leaded wall that swung. But when Bob and Gloria were living here, the wall had been destroyed, so they took it out. And when I came, there were shutters here. So we decided to put this back just as a kind of a shutter door, but the configuration of it is exactly the same, with the same leading and everything here, except it has the cherry blossom motif, and actually it's a lot brighter and prettier, I think, because I happen to love these colors.
Before we go into the dining room, let's check out the room back here.
Okay.
Now, would this be considered the sunroom?
Yes, it would, and incidentally, from this beam on, out to here was part of the addition, okay?
And more stained glass cherry blossom doors?
Yes, absolutely, and more. This is a picture. These light fixtures were of the period, which is what Randall said I could do, because the original fixtures were gas lights, and Bob and Gloria took them away, but I didn't like them anyway. I mean, they weren't my style, so I chose these lights, which were of the period that Randall said that I could have. And we put the cherry blossom motif back in, and the glass is leaded. Let me turn it on for you so you can see. Very pretty. Now just step in here and pull the switch.
Oh, how nice.
Gives it a little bit. And you can see how the glass work is actually transparent on the blossom. It's really great in here at night.
And the wood looks so smooth.
All the wood in here is like Port Orford cedar, Douglas fir, quarter oak, ebony, teak.
So it's an eclectic mix of wood throughout the house.
Absolutely. And it was really frustrating when they would bring some wood in to panel this room, and I was so excited, and Randall came down and said it isn't cured yet, you know, so we have to wait another 3 months. I said, oh heavens. But here we have another seating area with a seat that lifts up, and more storage. That's an original little intercom that you see there that we never used, but I just left it here because it was original. We have the scarf joint decorative feature along the ceiling area here. The scarf joint is very prominent in the Gamble house. This is merely decorative, but the scarf joint was what they used on ships, so that when the ship moved in a storm, it would bend and wouldn't break apart.
Let's go check out the dining room, because I don't want to run out of time because there's so much to see in this house.
Okay, come on. Here, this is another area where this is the other area where they had the fireplace. And that's an original cabinet over there. And this table over here is a green and green style table, but it's a reproduction. And I asked them to put the marble inlay in the top so that when you serve, you know, you don't have any problem.
You can set hot dishes on it?
Yes. Yeah, hot dishes and everything. It's rubbed to satin. It's gorgeous, and it has ebony pegs and all of that. The light fixture is the continuation of the cherry blossom motif, and it helps to lighten up the room. And then
the window looks so pretty from in here.
Yeah, doesn't it look beautiful from this side?
Yes.
It's a different angle. You can see it.
And this goes into the kitchen?
This goes into the kitchen. Now this is not a green and green kitchen. It's a St. Charles kitchen.
What signifies or distinguishes a St. Charles kitchen?
Well, I think St. Charles was one of the first modern type of kitchens that they had. Like now it's like Pogenpahl and some of the other ones. I can't remember the names, but this is something I could live with. I mean, I was interested in putting back the aesthetic appointments, and when I first moved here, it was brand new back in '78. And but we did talk about, when we got through with everything else, we were going to knock this wall down here and put another I-beam, and the little room to the back, which was an old maid's room, make that the area where the bookcase would go and the office, etc. Because when you put the butler's pantry back, which what used to be right here, you'd lose that, and I didn't want to lose that. But then my husband became very ill, and we were never able to finish it.
So now where are we going?
Well, we can go out and see the register plaque, or we can go upstairs in the front hall and see some of the light things upstairs.
Okay, let's go upstairs, and then we can check out the yard and the pool, and we can check out the plaque at that time.
Okay, come with me.
I'm coming. All right, now this is the upstairs.
We're on our way up.
Beautiful wood in here. It's just gorgeous.
Thank you. This is a very famous, this post. It's always in all the books because it shows the joinery and it shows the pegging and so forth.
Instead of nails, they use the pegs?
They use pegs, yeah.
Oh.
And then we have another typical light, which is gorgeous, especially when you come up the stairs. You can see the cherry blossom motif from the bottom.
Now, did you have all of these light fixtures reproduced?
We had them all reproduced. We had them all restored. And they're all done to specifications. As I said, they're of the period, because Randall said you can have anything between this date and that date, so you choose what you want. And this house, although it was meant to be a home, and it has always been a wonderful home for whomever lived in it, ended up kind of like being almost like a prototype, although it wasn't intended that way, because everything the Greens did up to that date it was built, which was 1904, was done all in this house. But then they changed things the next year too. So
now where are we going?
Okay, we're going to go in here. I'm going to show you something.
Okay.
This is a closet. It's a built-in closet, and they have drawers for shoes and things like that. But this is what I wanted to show you, because this was probably an option for Mrs. Green. Notice
you mean for Mrs. Reeve?
I'm sorry, Mrs. Reeve, you're right. Miss Reeve.
Miss Reeve.
Yeah. The option probably was, they probably said, Miss Reeve, You can either have, they decorated with things like, you know, clinker bricks and screws and things like that. All the screws in this door, which are done in a design, are all facing the same way. Now, she had an option to put ebony pegs on this. She probably thought it was too much money. I have no idea how much it cost, but maybe it was like a couple of $100, and in those days, that was a lot of money, you know? So what they did was they always left the direction of the screws going the same way, so it not only looked better, but anybody could pop an ebony peg on anytime they wanted. This is kind of interesting. Most of the closets are all cedar lined.
So this is a bedroom?
It's a bedroom. It's a wonderful view of the garden outside with a dry stream that meanders from the front wall all the way down to the back of the house, and you'll see that later when you go outside.
Now, where is the night cherry blossom?
Oh, come on, I'll
window?
show you. Okay, I'll show you.
Because that must be spectacular.
We'll go through my bedroom, which is my fantasy. Incidentally, I didn't do green and green upstairs except for the bathroom. I actually didn't get around to doing anything else, but this is a cherry blossom orchard, trompe-l'oeil walls and all. Another closet built in.
A lot of closet space, isn't there?
Absolutely. This room is this is part of the addition.
What neat chairs.
Oh, those are from my family from Austria. Thank you. This room is like a Jack and Jill room. It joins through this door and through this closet, and the Townsend's children use this room. And this room, this is actually just a closet, but it's another closet.
So this has, what, 7 bedrooms?
7 bedrooms. Well, we didn't use them all for bedrooms because there were only 2 of us.
And how many square footage is in the home?
4,800 square feet, a 31,000 square lot. 3 lots, 3 separate lots, almost 3/4 of an acre.
That's large.
Yeah, it is. This is a built-in medicine cabinet, and of course there's a linen closet over there. Here's the bathroom, and I'm going to show you night.
Oh, what a difference.
It has a shower.
Colors.
Thank you. This is our fantasy, you know.
What made you choose cherry blossom? Just because you like the colors?
I was very influenced by Puccini's Madame Butterfly when I was growing up. It was one of my favorite operas, and I just love, you know, I wish that all of our beautiful, you know, accent pieces were in the house, but because it's for sale, we had to remove them. I have a lot of Asian, English. My home is more eclectic than the average green and green, but at least you can come in and flop down on a couch and be very comfortable.
Wasn't there somewhat of an Asian influence in the green and green design of homes?
Yes, there was. They first saw that at the World's Fair in Chicago.
Okay.
And I'm going to take you down here now, show you another piece of stained glass, a lovely little hall light and cherry blossom.
Well, that's a neat night light, or a hall light, whatever you want to call it.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Yes. Ooh, what a big backyard.
Isn't it gorgeous with all this wonderful swimming pool, and this is the dry stream bed that we put in.
Now, what is a dry stream
Well, I wanted a real stream, but it was really expensive. And so our landscape architect went up to the Gamble House and found out about all the plants that should be in the garden that were characteristic of the house. And then we brought in all these boulders from the High Sierra with a little bridge and meanders all the way down the swimming pool area.
Now, that bridge is another hallmark of the green and green, isn't it?
I don't know if it really is or not.
Isn't there one at the Gamble House?
There is one there.
And there's one at the Tishner
There
House.
is one there. You're right. You know more than I do.
No.
And I studied it.
I want to see this plaque here. Jenny A. Reeve, 1904, National Registry of Historic Places.
Well, this is sort of how I got my house done, you know. Bob wasn't in the mood to do it again because he'd just gone through that. So I said, you know what? Wouldn't it be wonderful if we did a real, authentic restoration? We'll put it on the National Register. We'll get somebody significant to help us restore it. And then that would be like living inside of a work of art. Doesn't that sound like a good idea? And he loved it.
Good. and it gave Long Beach another National Register.
Oh, I'm so happy.
You know, one thing that keeps going through my mind, you said Jenny Reeve was a seamstress.
Yes.
How could a seamstress afford to hire architects like the Green and Green and build a home of this magnitude?
You know, that's gone through my mind too, and I think maybe she came from money or something. I just don't have a clue, really. You know, but in those days, I mean, they were the turn-of-the-century craftsmen and doing something that was just a little bit getting away from the gingerbread look of the Victorian homes and so forth. And I don't know how she got her money, but...
and she never married?
No, she didn't. Not to my knowledge, anyway.
In a big pool area?
Yeah, it's wonderful. All the kids used to come in from the neighborhood and take swimming lessons.
Oh, did you give them?
I didn't do it, no. Oh. I don't swim that well.
Nor do I.
Down here at the other end of the swimming pool, there's a sauna, which we won't, have to go into because everybody knows what a sauna looks like. But it is there for anybody who wants it. And over here we have a gymnasium.
Ah. Now, do you work out every day?
I should. My husband was a real health nut. You know, he was a physician.
Oh,
so
really?
he was always in here.
What kind of a doctor?
He was a diplomat on the American Board of Family Practice, and so he had this all put in, and I've donated it to a children's charity, actually, to Arnold's All-Stars. They do after-school programs for children, and I didn't know what to do with it, and I thought, I bet those kids would really like that stuff, so...
Well, I bet they would.
Get it all.
Boy, he had every piece of equipment imaginable, didn't he?
He was really into good health and vitamins and all that kind of stuff, He had another side, though, too. We have a wine cellar with 800 bottles of wine. Would you like to see it?
Do you still have 800 bottles?
I do.
You do?
As a matter of fact, last Sunday, my girlfriend and I went through and itemized every single one of them.
Wow. What is the oldest bottle of wine that you have,
It's a 66 Bordeaux of some kind, and there's a couple of Chateau Lafite Rothschilds and somewhere in here.
Wow, look at all of the wine. Hey, you could have a good time down here.
You could if you had a mind to do that. Probably wouldn't have much of a mind left. He taught me everything I know about wine, which I know a lot more than I did when I got married to him, and I do enjoy it, but...
you have white, red?
We have white, red, champagne, everything. I just, when he became so ill, we kind of forgot about it, and here it is.
You ought to have a wine sale.
Well, I'm going to. I plan on that.
I'm surprised you don't have a little table down here where
we used to have that. In fact, when people would come over for dinner, we had a little table down here, and they'd come out down here, and we'd serve their hors d'oeuvres, and they'd pick out a bottle of wine, and we'd have a little pre-cocktail, and then they'd pick out their wine for dinner, and then we'd go upstairs and have dinner. But they got to do the choosing. That was kind of fun for them.
Okay, we have about 5 minutes left. Is there anything else you want to show us that you think would be...
I'm sure I'm forgetting something.
I noticed the fence around here.
It used to be a posted fence, and when Bob first moved here, he had the brick put in, the brick walls put up, and then we had a Doberman that jumped the fence, so we had to put
that's why the metal part is away from the...
Yeah, we had to have the wrought iron put on top because, quite frankly, I got sick and tired of running down the street after the dog. Wouldn't hurt me to do it now, though.
From the street, looking head-on at the house, it looks really rather small.
Yeah, but when you get
inside... It's really
inside,
deceiving how large it is.
It really is. It's an amazing house. And the thing is, Long Beach is such a great area. I mean, it's really a booming area. Everything's beginning to happen here. They have a fabulous music center. They have a wonderful art museum. I plan to stay here,
In Long Beach?
I'm going to move close by because I'm right in this area because I'm like 30 minutes to Beverly Hills and 20 minutes to Newport and 35 to Pasadena. I've just gotten used to that convenience.
Won't you miss this home after 25 years?
Yeah, there's certain things I will miss, Harvey, but, you know, I just think the house deserves something really special. It deserves a family that could enjoy it, or it deserves someone who would entertain the way we used to do. And it's too big for me, obviously. It's an awful big house.
Well, there'd be an awful lot of upkeep, too.
Well, not that much, because once it's under control, it's not that hard. The garden, you know, there's the garden, and then you have a cleaning lady that comes in, and I don't have any live-in help.
You do it all yourself?
Well, I keep up with it in the middle of the time that the cleaning girl comes in, and then, you know, in the spring we have people come in and do the windows and clean the outside, just like everybody else does. I mean, it's not any more, any less. But it really deserves a family that can give it.
It's really a quiet area up here, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it like a park?
It almost is. It's just really quiet, so relaxing, and just...
Somebody said to me, excuse me for stepping on your line, somebody said, we never see you out in the front, Jackie. And I said, why would I go out in the front when I have this beautiful garden out here? It's sort of like being in the country.
I could just see setting a little table up there with overlooking the pool, having a grand old time.
We used to do that in the summertime. We used to have picnics and barbecues and come out here with a glass of wine, turn on the stereo in the living room. You saw the stereo closets behind one of those doors that you saw.